In this video, we're going to look at doing some queries for the Phoenix Circus database. Let's have a look at query A. So this one, we need to create a query to display an alphabetical sorted list of trainees. We need to sort on the last name who have passed the Learning to Juggle module. We need to display the trainee first and last name, the date the module was completed, and the result only. So this is a fairly straightforward query using multiple tables and also multiple criteria, and we're going to see the sort and show row action in the query grid. Let's have a go at doing the query. We're going on to create and then using query design. And just very quickly, you can see we've got a window here where the tables will appear, and we've got the query grid below. So let's do the query. So we want an alphabetical list of trainees. The name of the trainee appears in TBL trainee, so we add that to the window. We also need the date the module was completed and the result. And we need all that for Learning to Juggle. So Learning to Juggle appears in TBL module because that's the module name. We need the date the module is completed. Now that comes in TBL module. And we also need the result. Well, that comes in TBL module as well. And it's a good thing to check at this point that your relationships are showing in this window between the tables in the query. If they aren't showing, you've not got the correct number of tables in your query and your query won't work correctly. So you may need to add further tables to make sure those relationship lines are showing. We need the trainee name, so we'll put the first name in and the last name. And we're going to sort this query on the last name. In the sort row on the grid, we click underneath last name and select ascending. We also need to have just the ones that have passed Learning to Juggle. So we need the module name and we're going for Learning to Juggle. So in the criteria, key in Learning to Juggle. You'll notice that Access automatically puts the quote signs around what we've keyed in that criteria row because it knows it's a text field. We also want the ones that have just passed. So if we click on the result and in the criteria put in the word pass and press enter. Display the trainee first name and last name, the date the module was completed, so put the date in, and the result only. So I'm just going to show you how to move that completion date. So if we highlight the whole column in the grid and then click on it and drag it until we get the heavy bar, it will put the completion date before the result. So we don't need the module name. So we're going to unclick show in the grid. And let's have a look at that in datasheet view. And you can see here we've only got two students who've passed Learning to Juggle. Make sure you save your queries. Use QRY as a prefix. And I'm just going to put query A to indicate that was A. The next query is a parameter query. We need to create a parameter query that will list the modules and the result received by a selected trainee. Display the trainee name, the name of the module and the result. On to create, query design. So we need the trainee name in TBL trainee. We also need the name of the module and we need the result. The result is in TBL trainee module. If you just look at this, we've got no relationship between trainee and module, so I know we've got to have another table in here anyway. There they are. We need the first name, the last name, we need the name of the module, and we need the result. But we need to be able to, when we run this, ask the user to enter the name of the trainee. I'll put that on the last name. Do square bracket, and then we have a message to the user asking them to enter the trainee last name. Let's run the query. And here's the window asking us for the trainee last name. I'll put in Boateng. Click on OK. And it provides me with the first name, the last name, module name, and the result. Make sure you save the query. The next query, we're going to look at using some of the functions. In this one, we're going to look at use of sum. We need to create a query which totals the number of hours studied by each trainee at each level of study. We need to display the trainee name, the level, and the total hours. Let's go to Create, Query Design, add the tables. So we need the trainee name, which is in TBL trainee. We need the level, and we can get the hours from the duration there. But you see, we've not got any connecting lines or lines showing the relationships. So we certainly need trainee module. Let's have a look what we've got. We've still got a table running free, so I suggest we need module as well. And there you can see all the tables are connected together. Let's put in the fields. So we need the trainee name. We need the level. And we're going to total up the total hours at that level, so we need the duration. Now this is where we're going to do the actual calculation. At the moment, if we look at the design grid, we've not got the total row in. So if we come up to the ribbon and click on totals, you'll see that the total rows now being added. Now first name, the last name and level, they'll all be grouped by. That means it will group them. If we've got multiple level, it will group those together, for example. And in the duration, I'm going to turn this into a sum. And I'm just going to give this a name. I'm going to call it total hours. And then a colon. And then when we run the query, in the query result, it will be called total hours. Let's run the query, see what happens. So I've got here Benjamin Boateng. He's taken two different levels, level 1 and 2, but he's added those up. And if we look at his level 2, I know level 2 was 60 hours, so therefore he's obviously done 2 level 2s because that's come to 120. And if we look at Salima, she's obviously done 2 at level 1 because that's now 60, the total. They're 30 each. Save the query. The next query is an example of a wildcard. Let's just have a look at the query. We need to create a query to list all trainees in alphabetical order of last name who have studied a trapeze module. We need to display the module name, the trainee name and the result. Let's go on to Create, Query Design. We need the trainee name. We need the module name. And we need the result, so that's in trainee module. We need to display the module name. I'm going to put the module name in first, then the trainee name. And we need this sorting on the last name. So in the sort row, select Ascending. And we need the result. Now, in the module name, we need just those which have got the word trapeze in them. So if I do asterisk trapeze, asterisk, that will find me all the modules which have got the word trapeze in them. Let's run that and see what happens. Here we have static trapeze, flying trapeze, static trapeze advanced and static trapeze intermediate, and we've got the first name and the last name, which is in alphabetical order, and the result. This next query is one showing how you can use the if function within the query. Let's just have a look at what we've got to do. We need to create a query to count the total number of trainees taking each module. If the total number of trainees is less than 2, then yes should be displayed to indicate that the module should be advertised. We need to display the module name, the total trainees, and whether the module should be advertised. Let's go on to create, query design. Now we need the module name, so that's in TBL module. We need to work out the total number of trainees. So if we put in trainee module, those are the tables that we need. Okay, so let's put in the module name, the first thing, and then the next one I'm going to put the result in. I'm going to do a count of the number of results. So let's turn this into a calculation. I'll call it total trainees, and then a colon, and we need the total row in because we need to do a count. So if we click on the total row, and in the total row, turn this into a count. Now the next thing we need to do is put in the if that works out whether we need to advertise or not. So in the next column, right mouse click and go on to build. And in here, we're going to say advertise, colon. So we're going to call the column advertise, and then we've got if, open bracket, total trainees, less than 2, comma. So that's the test. We've then now got the true action. So we want to put yes in, comma, and then we've got the false action. So we're just going to leave it blank, so we'll just put empty quotes in and close the bracket. And answer OK. And you can see in the column here, because it's capitalised, whoops, trainees isn't spelt right. Let's just go back. Because it's capitalised, it should recognise that that's syntactically correct. Now, you may need to change this into an expression, and that indicates that it's something to be worked out. Obviously, it's an expression. Let's click on Datasheet View, and here we've got our modules. We've got a count of the number of trainees taking that module. And for those that are less than 2, then in the advertise column it says yes. Those that are 2 or above obviously are left blank. In this final query, we're going to do a query which involves a calculation. We need to create a query to calculate the income for each module, and we need to display the module name, the number of trainees and the income only. Let's go to design, add the tables. We need the module name, so that's TBL module. We need the number of trainees, so that's TBL trainee. We'll do a count of the results. And we need the cost, which is in TBL level. Just a quick check to make sure, yeah, we've got all the tables connected with a relationship. We'll add the module name first, then we'll do a result, and we'll turn this result into a count to find out how many trainees have taken the module. So we've gone to totals to add the total row, turn that into account, and I'm going to give this a name rather than leaving it as counted result. I'll call it total trainees, colon. So we can use total trainees in any further calculations. But let's just have a look at what we've got so far. Then we've got our module name and we've got total trainees. Back to design view. Let's pop in the cost. And then in this final column, we can work out the calculation. So if we go to builder, we'll call this income, colon, and it's cost times by total trainees. Let's just widen that. So income, colon, cost times total trainees. And this is an expression. Save the query. And let's have a look at what we've got now. Module name, total trainees, cost and income. And if we just check one or two of these to make sure the calculation's correct. This last one, we've got 2 trainees. It's £120. So if we multiply those two together, it comes to £240. Just check one of the ones as well. £60 comes out as £60 income. So that's fine. The last thing we need to do is just check that we are showing all the correct columns in our query. The one that we don't want is cost. We need the module name, the number of trainees and the income. Again, just check it. There we go. That's our query now complete. We've completed all the queries now. The next video will cover creating reports.